Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. Thank you, Daniel. And I'm going to talk about 5 ways to increase revenue this financial year. This has been another one of our popular webinars, purely because we know that we've got lots of registrations, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So I'm here to go through and do this webinar. I did have David Pryde, one of our business consultants, to join me, but he's rung in sick. And everyone's entitled to have a sick day. So he gets to get out of the webinar, which is okay for him. And that's why we always have 2 people. So we've got that backup plan in place. Okay, so today's webinar is around 5 ways to increase sales revenue. And I'm just going to talk about setting those expectations. And those expectations could be set upon yourself and also for your team. The value of testing knowledge and skill gaps, because I think it's really, really important. I make a claim, I always say this, that salespeople, consultants, whoever you are, never recommend or sell a product they don't know or understand. So if I've got a team, it's so important that you actually, get the knowledge up of your team, because they will recommend that. And then my topic 3 is how to get the best sales result through team commitment and accountability, because it's not just relies on one person, it relies on everyone. And throughout this webinar, I am more than happy to take some questions, which I will prompt you after each topic. The reason for that is because, sales is the blood of every business. No sales, no business. And it'd be fair to say that this financial year is probably, most of the clients we're talking to, finding that their sales opportunities or not their sales conversions aren't as high as they normally are this time of year, or even before the end of the financial years. If you've had a really good end of financial year in the last few months leading up to the financial year, fantastic. But not everyone's done that. And I don't know if it's a sign of the times, there's an election coming up, but at the end of the day, that's no excuse. We need to work out ways on how we can actually generate business, because at the end of the day, as it says there, sales are the blood of every business. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Colin Wilson. I am the owner of a company called Key Business Advisors. We really look after small, medium-sized businesses in relation to growing things around business strategy and growth, people and culture. We're an outsourced HR business, and we do a lot of leadership and development. And this is a really good example of what we do now. This gentleman who's not here, he's my rock in the business. He's my backup plan to everything that we do. And stay tuned for more webinars to come with David being involved. So, as we talk about, what we do in a business, we are about taking business good to great. And it is all about that purpose of taking our customers on a journey through all aspects of employee engagement and performance. Because if we know we've got high engagement, then the performance happens. And values are really important to us, that integrity, passion, commitment, collaboration, accountability. All of this links back to the work that we do within our business. So I hope you see a lot of that gets demonstrated into this webinar. And like anything, people want to know how we do it. Well, this is a sales process if you're really looking at it. We do those discovery questions when we meet somebody. We discover exactly where they are in their business, what they're trying to achieve in all aspects of business, people and culture, their HR needs or their sales training needs. We identify the needs, we design something, we deliver, and then we always continue that ongoing support. So I'm still proud to say we still look after our first few clients, or our first 20 clients that are still in business back from 18 years ago. So that's, in my opinion, a good testament of some of the work that we do. All right, enough about us. Let's get into it about you. So, let's have a look at, 5 ways to do it. And, we've actually, I practice what we preach. So Key Business Advisors, we have a team engagement day tomorrow. And then we'll go out for dinner afterwards. And normally we do it over a 2-day period, but this year, because we've moved into this new location, we're just going to do the one day. So let's get into it. So what we'll do tomorrow morning, and what I recommend you do if you already haven't done it, is review and educate your team about what you've actually achieved last year, and that's the overall company performance against your budget. So I think sales is about measurement, sales is about understanding the gaps and all the above, but you want to reflect on last year. You want to assess KPI performance targets. So the way I coach it is they're your product service categories. So for an example, every KPI in our business or product has a category within our performance, so we can see what's trending, what's worked well, what's above on last year, what's below from last year, and what we actually do is go back over the last 3 years and just to compare. What's important, and it's part of motivation, is showing that your company is growing year on year. So again, we talk about what worked well, and also some of the shortfalls and maybe some of the gaps that we could actually improve in with the business. I'm really big on discussing highlights from marketing events and sales opportunities and created, the wins and losses. So, there are people who are on this webinar that I know go to, for an example, conferences. They go to events where, they're sponsors of, certain different industries and all the above. But what's important is to talk about your wins and losses. This worked well, this didn't work so well, and that could even be presentations and stuff like that. So again, I think it's really good to get your team together and have a chat about that, and then making sure everyone knows what the company needs to do to become more effective in this new financial year. So this is about what can we do to become more effective or even efficient in the year to come? Because we, like anything, what happened last financial year is yesterday. Yeah, actually, what happened yesterday was yesterday. So again, we can only reflect on the past performance and then focus on the positives and then start moving forward of what we need to do in this new financial year. So I hope that makes a bit of sense, and I hope that you can resonate with that. So number 2, the second thing we need to do is to review and educate the team of things like a new budget, if you've got a new budget. And it surprises me, like some clients that I've spoken to of recent, a couple of new clients, have you got your targets, your budgets, your KPIs already set for this new financial year? And the answer is no. And I'm like, well, hang on a sec. How do you motivate the team? How do you get them going? So I'm really big on that. You can't manage what you can't measure. And, you've always got to look at sales is about scores. It's like a game of sport, so it's about how many goals we kick. We don't want points or out of bounds in the full. We just want to achieve goals. So again, we need to set that budget of what we need to do and educate your team on the KPI targets, again, like I said before. And this may include some price adjustments. So I don't know about you out there, but, it's not easy running a business. We're a team of 12 in this business. But, it seems to be with the, in my opinion, the inflation and the government election and the war that's, recreated again, like just pricing just keeps going up and up and up. It's not like a yearly review now as a small business owner. It's like every second month, something comes through to say, hey, we're putting a price increase up. And we know in Victoria that, us business owners, we do feel, and consumers, we do feel like we're paying for, that constant spend that our government is doing, and they're taking it from us, which puts more pressure on us. So, we have choices. We've got to run a business, or we give up and go, this is all too hard. But we need to work out a way to actually, get that money in and work it out. So price adjustments is important. And again, it's about educating your team. And then it's around setting those expectations of your team, focusing on those monthly and quarterly targets. Because I always say you can have in a business, I've been in sales my whole life, 40 odd years I've been in sales, 22 years in the ops technology industry, 18 years in KBA, because we're no different to you. We've got to hit our targets. And it's been, it's a roller coaster ride all the time. But, you can't have 2 poor months strung together because that really hurts a business. So it's about making sure that we've got our monthly targets and our quarterly targets. And then how do we, if we have a short month, how do we then pick it up the following month to make sure that by the end of the quarter, we've achieved our quarterly targets. And if we can do that, we'll achieve our half-yearly targets and also our annual target. So just really, really important of where we're at. And, set out and showcase, some of the, marketing activities for the year. This is what we want to do differently. So this is what we know that worked well, but here's some things we want to work on to actually do it. Now, I am massive on trying to sell the humanization of your business. In today's world, we get bombarded with people trying to sell us product or services. But, I think what's important is just showcase your team, work out what your strategy is. So, is that, showcasing some work that you do, maybe a team member, maybe a message from a director or something like that. What are you doing that's a bit different that's going to try and create a bit more revenue? And that also could be spending money on Google AdWords and all the above. So I think it's really, really important that it's about how you educate the team and set out expectations of follow-up, CRM, time management, because information in CRM, well, the information is only as good as the information that's put into it and updated. So again, I'm going to talk a bit about that as we go through. And then maybe some training and development. So what do we need to do? Do we need to run a sales or a team conference? And, this is what I do a lot of. And I'm busy in the next 6 to 8 weeks in running sales and team conferences for companies to get them into that zone of where they need to be. So again, that is just part of what I do. And again, that's what you should be doing as well. And again, it's that focusing on the positives, because there's no point us being negative, because, the way I see it is we can be constructive, but just don't be negative, right? And then, but make sure there's more positive in your message than before. In our team day tomorrow, we've actually got our marketing company talking to our team about what we're trying to achieve from a marketing perspective. Google AdWords, different messaging, all the above. And then, we're updating our CRM, because for me, client records management is everything. And we want to go to that next level that measures everything and put some KPIs around what that CRM looks like. So we've also got a workshop where we're bringing in our partners to come in and train our team. That's what we have conferences for and make it all work. So I think it's important that it is about how you update your sales targets and you educate your team of what you're trying to achieve. Number 3. So I've got 2 out of 5. Right. Number 3 is understanding your customers' wants and needs. So there's no point trying to flog a product or push a product if your customers don't want them, right? So again, I think this is a great way of brainstorming that with your team. So this is around, and even yourself. So if you're on this webinar and you are it as that professional salesperson, or you're a consultant on your own, have to think about what do our customers want today and what might they want tomorrow, because this is about how you actually build a business. So, do your customers, what do they need tomorrow? That foresight, the insight is today. And then also have a look at some of your competitors. What are they doing today that might come and disrupt you in your business? So if anyone knows anything about disruption, companies like Uber is a good example. The taxi industry were doing the same thing for years on years, but they come up with this great innovative way of an app, where you can see an app where a car's coming to you and find the car with the registration number and the Uber driver and all the above, and disrupted the taxi industry. We call it the Uber effect. So again, think about your business. How can you disrupt some of your competitors in what they're doing? And that may not necessarily be in pricing. So I spoke to a client last week, and he feels like all his competitors have just lowered their price and given away huge discounts, which is affecting their sales performance. So I'd be curious to know if that's happening to some of you guys. But you can go and buy some business, don't get me wrong, but also don't devalue your brand or your products or services. The way I would coach it is, how can you better value add, which I'll talk about a bit later. Look at the marketing is active or due to inflation or elections. So what do we need to do to actually think outside the square and do things differently? And ways to generate new clientele, new business. So my philosophy is you should always be looking at, I call it the 70-30 effect. When we're hunting and fishing for opportunities, we want to try and create this pathway where we're trying to hunt 70% of new business or add on to our existing clients, and then we've always got that 50% of our current business that we know that's going to turn over. So again, we're always trying to grow. That's something we have to do as professional salespeople, sales consultants. business owners. It's all the same thing in my opinion. And maybe review other ways the client could pay for it, i.e., some trade-in terms, some payment plans, some finance options. This is something that we've been working with some of our clients, and to say, well, look, how do you offer better finance options for your particular clients? All of this is around talking to your team and work out what we can do to actually do things better. And you brainstorm it with your team. So, in a company we're working with, we just come and said we're actually bringing a finance arm to the business that's going to help the client, whether they want to make a decision today and get some quick finance, whether they want to do a renovation on their place and get more money than what's needed. And then number 3, do they want to review all their finances? So we've teamed them up with a mortgage broker to go and be a partner of that business. Smart way of actually doing business. So again, think about what you can do. And if you're struggling with that, our industry partners are huge. So please contact me or contact the business, and I'm more than happy to help you out there with some recommendations. And what's important is work out how to create that better sense of urgency. So this is where it becomes hard when things slow down. How do you create that sense of urgency of what you actually need to do to actually generate more business? Again, that is in my opinion, that is a workshop with your team, and you're asking your questions. So, the way it works, when I got into the game of sales in the office technology industry many years ago, we were told what to do. But, in today's world, it is about trying to bring the team together, brainstorm with your team, getting them to use their emotional intelligence to think about what they can do. And if they're part of it and they get buy-in and there's clarity around it, they tend to be, the team tends to be more committed and creates a sense of urgency of what actually needs to happen. And again, this is what I do as a business consultant when we go out to clients. And I'll tell you, we get it right when we brainstorm with the team, because I just repackage it. One of the things I always say is 80% of all the information to grow a business lies inside your business. You just need a good facilitator to bring it out and then polish it with some recommendations, which is what I do. Okay, the next one's around mapping out your client base, right? So again, we sit back and have a look at, for an example, I think I've just gone the wrong way. Have I done that? I have done that, yes. That was clever, wasn't it? Number 5, here we go. So I just did that. Number 3, mapping out your client base and reviews. Okay, sorry about that. And then number 5 is around that accountability. So educate your team of how strategy, marketing works to ensure they get behind the company. So if we're doing stuff on social media, you want your team, especially if they're in sales, to like it, share it, make comment, because that's part of the real world that we actually live in today. And some companies are going to people go, I don't like social media, I don't want to do it. Well, right now, the company that you're working for, you have to do it, because it's all about trying to get behind the brand, and that's the way lots of people actually market. Big one for me is lead with speed. So expected follow-up, same day or within 24 hours. So you've just got, so if someone put a lead in at 4 o'clock today, you want to be onto it first thing tomorrow morning. So again, that speed to lead, I think, is really, really important, making sure that we're all over it. If we've got good marketing strategies that's creating lead inquiry, and again, we want that follow through. If I'm a retail business, the person that walks in, there's your lead right there. We need to make sure that we've actually got that high level of care, speed to lead to speed, and make it work. Measure company leads and conversions. So again, I think it's really, really important. So, currently in our business, we use a CRM system. We get our pipeline reports. We can see what's going on. We record all of our leads, and that's a bit of a manual process, if I can say right now. That's why we're going into a new CRM. So we have live data instantly of how it actually works. So the speed on quotes and proposals, the speed of follow-up on quotes and proposals, CRM management, all of this is what contributes to that marketing and sales activity. The pipeline, referrals, I want to measure everything. So I'm recommending, how many referrals do you get? Is your team getting case studies, testimonials, and Google reviews? Because again, all of this contributes to more lead generation that happens within your business. And most importantly, it is about building a winning team. So, I always say no one's better than everyone else. We might have some salespeople that sell more than others, but we're all a team, because at the end of the day, we want to hit those company targets because that's what's really, really important for the actual business. Okay, so they were my top 5 things that I would do, and I'm just going to add some things onto that as well. And that is, when we're conducting some sort of sales session or a conference with a team, it is about resetting those expectations and accountability. And for me, it creates motivation. I always see when we bring our team together, when we do it every quarter and we run a session with the team, we get a massive spike in our results, our sales results or revenue results that come through the business. Because, if I can say, it is like a bit of an injection of motivation, but it's also, we want our team to think. And this word around cross-selling, upselling, promoting what we do. It's just sometimes it's just a bit of a reset. People share ideas too. So I think, what are some of your ideas? And in another session that we did previously, I had a salesperson get up and a consultant get up and say, Colin, you need to do this. This is what you actually need to do. So I listened to that. So not only are we trying to motivate our team, I also get a to-do list out of this as well, which I think is absolutely fantastic. It builds that cohesiveness. So we don't want collaboration. Collaboration is where everyone works. So cohesiveness builds high trust. It is all about, having good conversation around a debate of what we need to do to grow our business. And then when we get people committed and hold each other accountable, which produces the results. So again, we reset the goals and objections. We do some team building, brainstorming exercises. And it's all about increasing team commitment and culture. So team take more ownership when you run some form of sales conference or team conference or business improvement day, whatever you want to call it, beyond tomorrow, whatever you want to call it, put a theme behind it and do something with it. And if you're a small business owner out there and you're on your own, then sometimes networking groups or stuff like that, that is good to join in. Come and do one of my sales training masterclasses. That's another thing you could do to try and to make that work. And then lastly, I think this is always this right time of year. I always say you revisit this around May, June. If you're going to release new targets, then maybe you need to revisit some bonus or commission structures, because this also will help the team get excited and have something to aim for. So, we go into some companies where there's no bonuses, and that's okay. The team is paid, very, very well. And then we go into other companies where, the team's paid well, but putting some sort of bonus or commission structure in place, that is valued. It needs to be valued, and it needs to show that, reward for effort. That's my opinion. I come from sales, and that was my motivator. When I got into the office technology industry, I treated it like a business. I'm in my own business, so the harder I work, the more people I see, the more things I sell, the more bonuses and commissions that I actually make. And that was an easy transition for me to go from, office technology and sales into my own business. And nothing's changed in that 40 years that I've been doing it. So, ask, does it work for the business? So, maybe you do a bit of one-on-one work prior to that as well. And does it need revisiting? Now, over the years, I've done lots of different incentives, bonus structures, and all the above. But if you really create something that's valued by your team, and you discuss that with your team, then you will get good response from it. And it's also a way of motivating. So, in our company, I want to make it very, very straight. We want to recommend and educate customers about our products and services. We don't want to sell them and hard close them, because, all that sales side of things went out years ago. But if we engage with them, we educate them, we stay committed to them, then revenue actually comes through. But what we do, which I think is very, very well, at the end of every week, we have a WIP report. And we also we measure, what's going on. But we also, for the consultants, we actually send them to the managers, which is Dave for the business team and Alison for the HR team, how their team members are tracking against their bonus structure. And then what we do is we want them to sit down. And what I want to do is, which I do is sit down with them and go, look, you're sitting currently at this figure. What have you got in the pipeline or with your clients that if you actually was to recommend or convert something, that would get you into the next bonus structure or commission bracket? I'm massive on gate systems because gate systems makes you work harder to achieve more. So again, reward for effort, I think, is really, really important. It's got to work for the team. More importantly, it's got to work for the business, because there's no point paying out lots of bonuses and the business is not making money either. So I think that's very, very important. Okay, so that was my first topic. And do we have any questions you want to throw in the chat box or the question box based on what I've gone through? And how have I gone? Just give us a little bit of feedback before I get into the next topic, because it's really important that you get this right, because sales is the blood of every business. Don't be shy. I'm happy to take any questions that you that you want to throw at me. Yeah. So people say to me, "How do we get people motivated?" Well, again, that is that's you, the facilitator of team meetings. I think it's really, really important. And we're looking after a client at the moment. The general manager of this business, unfortunately, has gone in and had his gallbladder removed. He's out for 6 weeks. It's like dire straits. They're a client of ours, and I go, let me just jump in and run your team meeting, right? So I ran in and I run the team meeting. And one of the things I did do was I asked them, what do you want to get out of this meeting today? Like, what would be your top 5 things and do you think we should measure the whole lot? They redesigned the meeting of what they wanted and loved it. The feedback I got afterwards was fantastic. So again, you customize things that's going to work for you and your business. Okay. I must be going all right if I'm getting no questions put through. So, all right, let's go to topic 2. So topic 2 is around the value of testing product and skills gaps. So again, this is good. Okay, so what system I have got a question. What system do you use so people know what KBA do? If I was looking for assistance in my business, how would I find KBA? Is that a marketing question? So, we use multiple systems. So, in how people find us. So we do Google AdWords. We've got a very large client base. We have a very large following base. One of the things that we do, which I think works very, very well, is the downloads off our website, which I'll get to a bit later. So when people download stuff off our website, we've absolutely captured somebody, in my opinion, that is in the market. We do get, competitors download stuff off our website and stuff like that, but the genuine ones we get are pretty hot to trot when it comes through. So we have multiple systems, and in marketing, the way it works is the more mud you throw at the wall, the more it's going to stick. So there are multiple things that we do. We sponsor events. We're part of associations, franchise groups. So all of that assists us in creating that lead generation. So I hope I've answered your question there, Daniel. And our CRM system we use at the moment is called Capsule, which is pretty inexpensive in my opinion. But we're about to go to something that's called Go High Level. And it will measure everything. It'll even do a phone record when people ring into our business. We'll be able to measure the response times. We'll be able to measure everything. And we just want to go to that next level. And I truly believe if we going into this new CRM that's been recommended to us by our marketing company, I truly believe that it'll pay for itself 10 times over by just having better tightness around that lead generation. So I hope I answered your question there, Daniel. Beautiful. Okay, so test product knowledge. Now, this is a saying of mine. Salespeople will never sell or recommend a product they don't know or understand. So you've got to make sure you test the team. You've got to make sure that whoever's working for you, do they actually know it? So, my team will say to me, hey, Cole, come along with this meeting with me, because they just know they want to bring, if I use the word, the owner in, the master, because we're the ones that put it together. But I want them to also work that out as well. And, if anyone's done any sales training with me and recommendations, I talk about A class, B class, C class. So, C class is like a small business or small opportunity. B class is a medium size. A class is a good opportunity. So again, time management is really important. So I like to work with, those Bs and As. Because A brings more revenue into the business, and sometimes we're dealing with more than one person, like 2 business owners, or 2 business owners and a stakeholder, like a finance person as well. So it is about making sure that you get that structure right. Not all salespeople understand the features and benefits of products that they are selling. So commonly when I get engaged to do a sales training exercise for a company or a seminar for a company, I like to go and mystery shop beforehand just to test the water. And I know when I bring out some of those results to the sales team, I know I don't win them as friends at the start of the sales training, but it's a reality check. It's constructive. And there was one client that I did some work with, and I walked into three of their locations. I asked lots of questions. I pretended I was in the market, and I walked out with their business card, and not one of them asked me for my details to do any follow-up. So again, that just gives you an example of just making sure that they know the features and benefits of their products, and they know what they need to do to actually make it all work. Not all salespeople know how to sell the value of your company brand and why. So at the start of this webinar, I talked about our mission, our purpose, our values. And again, I think that's so important. So, remember, if a client's coming into your business for the very first time, they might not even know who you are. You could be on a picking list of 4 or 5 different companies. So again, I always like to ask the question, what do you know about our company? And when we hear, I know nothing about your company, well, there's the opportunity for them to sell the brand. And then what do you know, let me educate you a little bit about what I do and what I can do for your business. So rather than just do that transactional product-based selling, we've really got to sell the value of our brand and your why you do things. Not all salespeople can actively demonstrate the value of your products and service in front of others. So, these are facts that I come across all the time. And, so people ask, well, how do you actually combat that? So, we create product champions in our business. Tomorrow, every team member will get up and they've got 7 to 10 minutes to educate the team about one of our products or services and why it's a value to a client, and more importantly, identify why the client would need the product and how we would recommend it. So, so I like to do that, run that for 6 months and then swap it around, because again, I think that creates accountability and it gets staff members a little bit out of their comfort zone. Now, I'm not going to go harsh and rip them apart or anything like that, but what I can tell you right now is this is tomorrow, and I saw one of our staff members earlier on this morning preparing their presentation. Now, that preparation of them preparing that presentation of how they're going to sell, the product and services that they're recommending, I'm sitting back going, this is magnificent. Why? Because they're putting thought in how to educate the rest of the team about what this particular product and service, which means that they can actually, when they go out there and recommend that to clients, they're going to do a better job. So, it's really interesting. In the office technology industry, we were forced to demonstrate that products and services, product and the service arm of the business in front of our peers. And most of the people hated it. They hated it. But, I did it first, but I realized that the better the knowledge and the better you get tested, and if you can do it in front of your peers, then it's so much easier to do it in front of your clientele. And that wouldn't be considered bullying, by the way. That's considered training and development, and I encourage you to do that. Some other facts: not all salespeople understand the pricing of what they're selling. So again, if you've got new price lists that have come out, you want to test the knowledge. What is the cost of this? Right, and there's nothing more frustrating, and this has happened with a client where the salespeople, if I can say, are and haven't got good margins with the next one down because they're giving discounts to try and win the client, but the company's not making good enough money to actually to be sustainable. So again, I think these are facts. They don't understand the pricing model. They don't understand the good margins. They can make costly mistakes or missing things on paperwork. And most salespeople are too quick at discount rather than adding value or holding margins. So I spoke about that before. So this goes back to, rather than discount, what else can you give as a value add within your business, right? So it still holds your margins. And again, that's a brainstorming session that I think is really, really good if you can do that with your team and test their knowledge. So again, this goes back to, it's in the bottom comment of every slide. How do you and how often do you test their knowledge? Because I think that's a really good opportunity for training team members. Case studies are the best form of training. We've got to make sure that we educate our team about the business acumen of your business. Test their systems knowledge as well. So here it is, that CRM system. So we know, I can say it, traditional salespeople are lazy. They're good with their mouth, but they're not good at data entry, if I can say that. So you've got to work out, well, how are we going to make this work? So as it says there, not all salespeople like to use a CRM system. They don't like putting in all the correct information because for them it's time consuming, and it's a slow process. So again, the CRM system that we're implementing is all about speed. I'm not saying my guys don't do it, but it is, I could always ask for more information. So again, that voice to record information into the system. So if someone's away or on holidays or whatever, we can get in and find out more information. Not all salespeople know how to source information quickly from internal folders or processes or procedures. So again, this is part of where do we find everything? So where do we find everything within the business? And it's just, again, I'm going to go back to that lead to speed that I spoke about before. Where's your templates? Where are things that you've got in place that could actually make it happen? And then the big one is not all salespeople are good with the detail needed when it comes to submitting paperwork, orders, and scope of works. Because if one thing is missing, then what happens, and it gets wrong, it's that cost to the actual business. So it surprises me when we go into some companies and they go, "Oh, we have a variance. We have a variance, so we know that there's going to be some mistakes, and we have a variance, and we put that markup on what we actually when we have to go back and do a little bit of rework." And I remember asking the question, what's the percentage? So if you had 10 orders, 50 orders, or 100 orders, what is the percentage that you are going back and doing rework? And, what surprises me is I never got a straight answer to that question. So again, good leaders know how to measure everything. You can't manage what you can't measure. So it's very, very important that we put these systems in place. And I commonly hear from companies, well, what do you do if a salesperson just doesn't want to do it? And that's a very harsh question. And that's where I was going to get Dave to answer that question later on. But that's where you start that performance management process and setting those expectations. So if we test the capability, as I said before, it is really important that we make it happen. So again, I think from training, I'm massive on this. So when I run training programs, I always ask, what's the action plan for training development? What do we need to do? So again, this is what I coach. This is what I recommend. That's why I'm sharing it through with you on this webinar. So take ownership and accountability. When testing your team's knowledge, always create an action plan for improvement. This is not a performance improvement plan, but an action plan. So one of the things I say, well, what do you think you're good at? What are you not good at? What would be 3 or 4 things or 5 things you think you could do to improve your knowledge? Okay, I want you to send that to me in email, and that starts to form some sort of process of follow-up and some form of action plan. With any form of training or development, always ask, what did you get from the training? And this also becomes part of an action plan. So in all my training material, even a book that I'm about to release, there's an action plan in the back. What are 3 to 5 things you got out of this chapter? What are 3 to 5 things you got out of the training? Because it's the leader that's then got to make sure that they actually start doing that, and that person's got to hold themselves accountable to actually achieve it. When a new staff member starts after the initial induction, we recommend you create some sort of action plan. This is what you need to learn. CRM, these products, this type of pricing. This is how we do our finance. Like, there's a lot of things when someone comes to a company to learn, and it's about how you actually create that action plan. And then you must always test your team's knowledge as it keeps them sharp. So again, I'm massive on Sales 101 is around, in my opinion, it is around time management, process, training, development, action plans. Because if you get the activity going, get the knowledge up high, the rest sort of falls into place. It sort of falls into it. So any other questions of what I just talked about there on that topic? So feel free to throw them in the question box, and I will move on to the next topic while you're doing that. So topic 3 is how to get the best sales results through team commitment and accountability. So this is, what we've talked about is the strategy, your 5 steps, what we need to do, and then, really putting that accountability on them, I think, is really, really important, or even on yourself. So, I'm massive on this one-on-one accountability. So you want to ensure you're setting up some one-on-one conversations with your team. Now, in sales, You measure your team daily, weekly, fortnightly, monthly. So I'm massive around the start of the month. We review it around the 15th of the month. We're always tracking how we're going at the end of the month. So our job is as leaders is to push that through and make that all happen. I think you want to set some expectations with your team. And this is what I do a lot of. It's pretty simple. 120% is above and beyond. Now, if we had a sales target of $100,000 and I'm doing 120K plus, I am going above and beyond. I should be getting good reward for the bonus structure that you put in place to actually make that happen. If I'm just hitting the target, I'm just doing my job from what I'm paying you to do. And that's okay, because that's what we actually want you to do as a business. But if I'm at 80%, let's say I'm doing $8,000, let's say I did 80,000, well, we need to have a conversation with them around, mate, what are you going to do? Lift your game, because this is not sustainable. What is it you think you can do? And I coach map the gaps. What could have you done better to hit that 100K? And if I've got somebody traveling from 79 to 1%, and let's say I'm running 50% to target, then performance plan, that's a PIP, performance improvement plan. Like, we need to sit down with you and get the fundamentals right, because you're not doing the activity. Now, I just want to put it into perspective here. So if I've got a team of, let's just say 5 people, and I've got 3 people constantly achieving 100% and above, and I've got a person at 50% of that, someone at 50%, well, clearly that really shows evidence that they've got to lift their game to actually do it. So you look at what the other guys are doing well, and you start talking about, well, this is what the other guys are doing. Why aren't you doing it? And again, this goes back to that, I call the straight talk conversation around what you need to do. Sales is very, very easy. Number of leads, number of qualified appointments, number of proposals we send out, number of percentage of conversions gets you the results. That's pretty much, it's pretty straightforward in how you actually do it. So I go into some companies and I think the salesperson's pretty good, but they're just not seeing enough people. So that again goes back to, what are we doing from a marketing perspective? What can we do better? And that is all the brainstorming stuff that I spoke about at the start of this webinar. So we identify training opportunities, I think, is really, really important. If someone's not performing, and if someone is performing and is doing well, they're great training opportunities, because they're good case studies of why is it working for you, what have you done differently. So again, find out, a big one is how they like to be managed. So, with salespeople and different personalities, which I talk about when it comes to sales, everyone should be, there's not one rule fits all. That's the way it was in the olden days. To get the best out of your team, you might find somebody that is, cocky and is out there and is an extrovert, and then you might have somebody in sales who's an introvert. That's okay. You just got to manage them a little bit differently, but you still got to find out how they like to be managed and what is it that they need to do to actually improve. And then when they do that, it's that recognition and praise. I think in today's world, if we go back, if I go back, say 20 years ago, if you didn't sell, you were just burnt and gone. That's how it was. But, the pool of talent out there of today is not as strong as it used to be, right? So again, I'm massive on how do we bring somebody into the business, which is HR best practice, and then how do we develop them and train them to get there. Now, in my life, I've never, ever fired somebody through the lack of trying. Yeah, because I've always found when we've supported them more and we set the expectations a bit high, if it's not for them, they'll leave. Right. So, but if I've gone into a company and someone doesn't give a crap and it's all about them and they don't give a crap about the business or the rest of the team or whatever, well, that's a different conversation. And most companies I work with that have got that in them, that particular person's not there for very long, because it is about, we need to be a cohesive team and make it actually work. And I've had it. I can't get rid of, he's our best salesperson. I go, yeah, but I can reassure you, because I've done this many times. If this person goes because he puts everyone else down, the rest of your team will lift, and you'll actually get greater results. And I've proved that time and time again. Okay, so we focus on the sales activity. So this is it. So if you're an individual and you need to work out, well, what do I need to do to actually improve my sales? Or if you're managing a team, time management 101, right? So, we do the things we hate doing first up in the morning, and that is follow-up, or prospecting. So, Brian Tracy would tell you, eat the green frog. So the theory behind that is, if I put a frog in front of you and said, you got to eat that by the end of the day, you can look at the frog, or you can just go and put it straight in your mouth, eat it, and get it over and done with. That's what you do as salespeople. All the things that bog you down or you hate doing, do it first up in the morning. Diary plan is really important. So what are you doing? Where are you going? Territory management is a big one. There's no point in traveling 2 hours one way and 1 hour the next way where you've lost 3 hours of travel time. Now, again, I'm okay about travel time, but it's not the best of time management because that's an opportunity for you to be on the phones. And again, when I go into companies and I ask how proactive is your sales team, and they tell me very proactive, I ask for the Telstra bill, and it seems to be that the guys that are 100, 120% plus target are making like 400 calls a month, and the guys that are 50% of target are making 50 calls a month. There is a difference. So again, when we're in the car, what are they doing? And most of the time, sales is not about selling. Sales is about connecting with them. And one of the things I like to do with lots of business owners is I ring them and say, I'm just doing a well-being check, just making sure you're okay. And I always get a laugh, and then I go, well, what's going on in your business? And then all of a sudden they start telling me, and the rest just sort of takes care of itself. So again, lead generation. So it's not just one company that does it. It's a mixture of everything. So we've seen it where staff have gone, oh, it's not the company. The company's not getting enough leads. But what are you doing as an individual? Are you asking for referrals? Do you do things like you see a client? We used to do a thing called a sandwich call back in the day, and still do it today. We go out and see a client. Well, who are these clients either side of this business that we're already doing work with? So again, I think there's an opportunity in that. Number of calls, number of appointments. What is acceptable, within your business is that if I'm a dedicated salesperson to bring the bacon home, bring all the sales in, is 3 appointments per day a minimum, 15 appointments a week? Is that the minimum standard, or is it 12? You've got to decide that what works for your business. Number of networking opportunities. So again, I think, I always believe people don't like to be sold to. And again, I'm massive on, you got to be part of something. So get part of a networking group or association or something like that gives you purpose and re-energizes you on what you need to do. Number of follow-ups. So again, CRM tells us how many follow-ups we've actually done, but, lock yourself away, spend those couple of hours and just start doing the follow-ups. Eat the green frog. And a big one for me is that ABC, always be closing an outcome. So when we're with the client, we're closing outcomes. So if I'm trying to, get my diary to a point where I'm, trying to fill it, if I'm going to see somebody and I'm going to go back and do a proposal, I'm going to set a time to actually present that proposal. Now, I can do that. I'm going to go back to A class, B class, C class, but I could do, if it's a smaller business, I might do that via a phone call. So I'm going to call you at this time, send it through, and we'll go through it together. If it's a B class, it might be a face-to-face or virtual meeting. And if it's an A class, I definitely want to try and get there face-to-face to read the room, because there's more people in the room that you're actually presenting to. You just got to work out your mojo and that strategy of what you want to do. The CRM management tool is really, really important, and working to a sales game plan. I work with lots of companies, and I love, consultants, and one of the things that I like to do is get them to plan their quarterly plan in advance. So this is around, what's your sales game plan? What are you planning on doing that's going to make sure that you achieve, if not exceed, the targets that are put in front of you, and just brainstorm that with them. So I have a fair few clients that get me involved with that, and we do coach the owner or coach the manager in making sure that actually happens. Okay, just changing the subject. I think when we talk about sales and improving sales results, 90% of the sales coaching and training that I do, we do a sales disc profile. And, you could go to my website, you could actually order one of these and check it out yourself, just to sort of, what sort of salesperson are you? But what's really important is about understanding, reading the client, and where you sit within one of those 12 little disc dots that are up there up there on the screen in front of you. But as you can see, if I'm a D style, I'm a person that's very, very direct. And you can see what I'm motivated from and the fears and my limitation. So my conversion to sales with that particular person is going to be very, very quick. And it's going to also be straight talk, because they're going to dictate the conversation. If I'm going into the I style, which is more influential, so D is very direct, I style is more influential, I know that it's going to be relationship building. And what's important to them is building a relationship, more rapport. And if I'm sort of the S style, which is more a supportive role, then I'm pretty much going to take it all in, and then I'm going to analyze what I'm doing, and then I'm going to then make some sort of decision or how I'm going to approach it. And if I'm a C style, I'm all about facts. Give me the facts and everything like that. So when we go out and see a client, so first of all, when we do a sales pro, you learn about yourself. What's your sales style? And I've seen D style salespeople burn S styles and C styles because they've got no patience for them because they take their time to make their decision or asking too many questions. So I think it's really, really important. But I also think it's also to analyze the client as well. So in a few minutes, and what I'm just talking about is just the smarts of it all. But a D style, so when you actually go and meet somebody for the very first time and they're interested in a product or service, one of four things comes out of a potential buyer's mouth. I want, I need, I'm thinking about, or I'm looking for. And I always link this back to the styles that are up there on the screen in front of you right now. A D style says, I want. Well, that means give them what they want and make it quick before they change their mind, because they guys are impulsive buyers. If I look at a I style, I need to work with you to understand, you're giving me the right recommendation. And if I don't like you, I'm not going to buy from you. That's very much an I style. An S style says I'm looking for, because I don't like the word commitment, as it says down there, fear of loss, stability, change, loss, harmony, offending others. So again, and you can see limitations, overly accommodated tends to avoid change and indecisiveness. So we use what I call alternative closing techniques for these type of person. And then my C style, well, they've already done their research. They already know what they want. So, they're like a doctor. They've analysed everything. So again, they're going to test your knowledge. And if you don't have that product knowledge and you can't answer the questions for them, you're pretty much not going to get anywhere. So again, when we do sales profiling, I think what's important is we've got to understand about ourselves, but also about how our customers buy. And the companies I've worked with, I can tell you, they've increased their sales results by 20, 30%. Based on conducting these profiles and learning how to win the client over better. But it's more about learning about themselves first and on what their presentation style is. A good example of that is when I talk to a D or an I style, I ask them, what would you prefer? An email and dot font or a full proposal? Most of the time they go, I've got to send the proposal to get it through the office, depending on the size of the company, but just send me an email and dot font, that'll be fine. Whereas if you go to the S and C style, they want the proposal. So again, it's all about your time management, and I'll leave that for you to work out what you think you should do next. Okay, so we understand our personalities. Now it's back to you about how you drive and get the best out of it. And these performance reviews are massive. So it's very, very important that you've actually got some sort of structure in place with the reviews and appraisals, as it demonstrates that you have a professional structured process. So again, you're not going to let people off the hook. And we see time and time again, business owners being busy, don't have time to do it, but you must do it, especially if this person is the one that brings the sales revenue, the blood to your business. It shows you care, you want to develop your employees, it increases that intellectual property, because we don't want to lose anyone, right? Because if we lose people and we start again, that makes it very, very difficult. It always puts, it's a great way to put measures in place where it's structured to acknowledge and praise the team members for their efforts. And for me, if anyone knows who I am and what I'm all about, it's about being an employer of choice. Because if we're an employer of choice and we do all of this, people want to stay and other people want to come and work for us because they're not getting that same level of love of a current client they're working in. So it's very, very important. And again, as we said before, those individual and monthly, quarterly plans, as I spoke about, it's the best form of accountability. Each salesperson identifies the need of what they need to do to be successful. And we talk about the what do they need to do each week, each month, each quarter. Then we identify the why do we need to do it? And then the big one is the how are you going to do it? And that's that self-accountability, the discipline that a salesperson needs to be self-accountable. And above all, it's about teaching your professional staff the business acumen of your company. They need to understand they are employed to bring in the revenue. Sell and bring in the revenue. If they're not bringing the revenue in, you just can't sustain them. So that was my third topic, and I'm right on track for where we are. And please throw me a couple of questions because I'm very fired up this afternoon and ready for our team session for sure for tomorrow. And then next week, if I'm doing a session, believe it or not, for a massive caravan joint up in Coffs Harbour. So again, people will pay for me to come up and do training to actually get the knowledge up, get the motivation going, because I know they're going to get the results. If you valued what I've gone through, these are some free downloads off our website. So Daniel, when you ask me, what sort of system do we use, if I was looking for assistance in my business, I could come and coach you. There's many things we can do, but there's a lot of stuff in these downloads. And again, if you download something off our website, you will expect a call from us. And maybe come and join the sales masterclass, Daniel, because I'm pretty sure it's just you and your son in the business. So maybe both of you come and join, because I feel that if you're doing something that's proactively trying to generate business, then that's really, really important. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed my webinar, and please throw me some questions if you wish. And if you want to ask me questions privately, then give us a call or contact the office or email me. It's colin@kiba.com.au. I'm more than happy to assist you. Something I'm most proud of, and this is a book that I'm about to be released. It won't be long. I think within a week you'll be able to pre-buy the book. So we know the books are coming somewhere in the last week of August, first week of September. But this is a how-to book. It's about business beyond tomorrow. It's about either you run your business or it'll run you. We're going to do an official launch on the 9th of September. And then, one of the things that I am most proud of, and being a business owner is not easy. It's hard. It's stressful. We are constantly under pressure all the time. When it's good, it's great. And when it's not good, it is crap. But there are a lot of business owners out there that are struggling, especially in today's times with all the changes that are coming through with inflation, government, war, all the above. And so I'm going to donate my profits of the book to an organisation called it's Beyond Blue. Everyone knows who Beyond Blue is, but it's the only company that I know in Australia that actually has a dedicated program for a small business owner up to 20 staff. You can get 6 free coaching counseling sessions to try and help with your mental health in sustaining your business or changing your business or changing your mindset, because it's not easy being in business. So I'm something I'm very, very proud of, and really, really want to push this. And my goal, if I can say, over the next 3 to 5 years, in 5 years' time, if I've raised $100,000 for this organisation through people generating or donating, or people who are buying, from the book, I'll be absolutely wrapped, because there are a lot of small businesses out there that are doing it tough. So staff come to work and they think, as a business owner, you're making money and you're very, very rich, but that is not the case, because we have the roller coaster ride, which is like sales as well, as we run a business. Okay. So if you've enjoyed our webinar, here's a few more that's coming up. So we've got a free webinar on the 24th of August, which is around 7 ways to recruit that ideal team member. Because I think what's going to happen is we have that run up till Christmas, and right now, what I can tell you, what we've seen a lot at the start of this year is when someone's left a company, they haven't replaced them, or we've been doing lots of redundancies, and because people are trying to, protect their cash and downsize a little bit, but that's only sustainable for so long. What I believe will happen is come, that September, October, November, lead up to Christmas, people will invest and start to try and generate more opportunities for their business. We have on the 16th of September, we have an in-house effective management workshop. So if you struggle with managing staff, then have a look at that. And then we've got another free webinar, which is around how to manage non-performers, because that's a big thing around companies, especially around salespeople. So if you've liked what we've done, I just want to say thanks very, very much. Please feel to contact us, send us an email. And if you want to know more about us, go and visit our website, hold your phone up to that QR code, and have a look around to see what we can do to try and help you. And our job, our why in our business is just to be resourceful for people who need our services. So I just want to say thanks very much. Good timing, 1:57, about to go to 1:58. And that concludes our webinar. Enjoy the rest of the week, guys, and reach out if you need our help. Thanks very much, and that concludes our webinar.